Your ballot early. Everyone from working parents to family caregivers to seniors in nursing homes should be able to vote safely. So don't wait. Visit us at aarp.org/ncvotes and find out how to vote early. You deserve the peace of mind that comes with voting safely and knowing your vote will count. Learn how AARP North Carolina is fighting to protect voters 50 plus. Visit aarp.org/ncvotes today. Paid for by AARP.
It's Jeep Adventure Days at Lake Norman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We are the only Jeep dealer in the Carolinas that guarantees we will beat any new Jeep deal. I-77 exit 28, LakeNormanChrysler.com.
Why go anywhere else?
This is Our Town. Our Town connects our region's people and its communities. From the big issues to the big events and what's happening just down the street. This is Our Town.
And yes, this is Our Town here. This is Bryan About Town. I transform into Bryan About Town at the bottom there. I'm Bryan Starrette with Fred, but I turn into Bryan About Town here at the bottom of the hour. It's so good to have the folks here on Our Town on this Monday morning, the 5th of October here on News Talk WSIC. Hope everybody had a great weekend. It is feeling a little bit like fall out there, Nancy Davis.
Loving
it. Yes. I have the city of Statesville in with me, some very distinguished guests this morning. Nancy
I only
Davis.
bring you the best.
You only bring me the best. Only the best.
Yeah.
Only the best. And we'll get with Chief Addison here and his guest in just a minute. But Nancy, give us an update. Where's the city now in the land of COVID?
The city is trucking along. In fact, one of the things on our city council agenda tonight is a look at our budget. Our budget was passed the way it was, without any salary increases, without many capital projects included, because we just didn't know what COVID was going to do to the economy. So we're at a point where the city manager is going to review and kind of update council on the finances and make some recommendations based on where he sees the city going. We have been surprised and delighted that the sales tax has jumped back. Those revenues are good. And, just some other matters in the economy, but you don't want to step out there too far. So that's up to council.
When I had Mayor Cute on, it's been a while back, but he made the point, which you probably obviously know, the one thing that you have been missing is that motel tax. I would think that is suffered.
Right. Now, the occupancy tax actually goes to fund the Civic Center. So it doesn't come into the general fund.
Right.
It funds the Civic Center and it funds travel and tourism. So it definitely is hurting. But it is not impacting the city's general fund. It's not impacting police or fire or
So speaking of the Civic Center, what are they doing over there now?
Well, they're actually back in business. They've been in business ever since we went into phase 2 or 2.5. Limited number of people in a room, but they've got a school that's using some of the rooms.
Rotary?
They've got groups that are, I'm not sure Rotary's back in there or not, because it's still got to be 25 or less in an area.
Okay.
But there's some other meetings, some other things taking place. People are calling back in, ready to put their wedding back on the books in the near future, hopefully. So they're, I think everything that could be repaired or replaced has been at the Civic Center. But
your
that's
husband
a good thing.
Your husband and I are working. We are contributing a lot to the area.
Wow.
We are doing a lot as far as our revenue at the ABC store. So
Those sales are helping us.
Yeah, they definitely. I think the total gift for this past gift, the receipts from ABC sales tax to the city, because they get the liquor by the drink and the other sales tax, it's like 3/4 of a cent on the tax rate or something. It's amazing.
It's crazy. So that we hope everybody enjoys responsibly.
Yes, definitely. And just know that when you do enjoy, you are making a contribution to your city, Mitchell Community College, the
schools.
schools, and the museum.
That's right.
So
Step, there you go. I did my
There.
public service announcement there.
right. But we have Chief Addison. Do you have anything on the agenda tonight? I'm trying to think.
No, just looking at the employee raises, which doesn't impact just the police department, but every
Right.
department within the city of Statesville.
But I'll turn it over to Chief Addison.
Chief
They've had
David
a lot
Addison.
She
going
throws a
on.
very fast curveball.
Yeah, that's a hanging curveball. You knock it out of the park, David.
Feel throw to throw it back. Feel
There you go,
free
Chief.
to throw it back.
Yeah.
I brought with me Captain Huffman with the Statesville Police Department. She is the captain of our Criminal Investigations Division. And I wanted to give her a minute or two to kind of talk about what she does and how it positively impacts our department, our reporting of crime stats, and resolution of crime.
Good morning and welcome to News Talk WSIC.
Thank you for having me. Basically, what we do in investigations, anytime there's a property crime or a violent crime in the city, we respond and work on trying to. Yes, sir.
So you assist with the investigators to do.
I have a sergeant, and he works directly with the investigators. They basically report back to me, and I take care of the statistics and all the crime stuff. I give it to the chief so he can report it out to the community.
So based on the numbers that you've been compiling, even in the last year, what kind of trends are you seeing? What are you seeing that's
Here lately, there's been a lot of property crimes. We'd posted a thing on Facebook probably 3 weeks ago. We had 147 car break-ins from March through August, and that's a tremendous amount. And most of those are people with unlocked cars.
and I'm guilty of that. I mean, I live on Fulton Drive, right down the road here, and I've told the chief about this. We've had a rash of people breaking into the car, and all you got to do is lock the car.
Yes.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, one of the unfortunate parts is when we've seen about 5 or 6 guns stolen out of unlocked vehicles.
well, who in the
And I don't understand. There should be more responsibility associated with that. You go in the house and leave your gun in the car, and let's say it's not an adult that's rummaging through your car, but a child.
Well, yeah, there you go. So, okay, now from a legal perspective, is that a crime just to have a gun unlocked in a car or not to have it secured? I guess.
If you have it in a residence, it's supposed to be secured. If you have it in a car, you should have it secured as well. But I don't know if that is against the law. I'd have to check that.
And you couldn't charge somebody, but it's just
I would've-
it's practical. It's just a
Yes,
practical.
you said, I can't, but what I love to, yes, because that just shows a level of irresponsibility with a firearm. Because now we've got 5 more guns on the street because the owners didn't choose to be responsible with those firearms.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, Captain. What have you seen? What do your stats say since March? Since COVID, is anything changed? Have you seen any dramatic changes with what's going on?
Like I said, I think the property crime has really increased, and that may be due to people being out of work, kids being home from school, learning over the internet, and they have all this free time on their hands, and they're out getting in unlocked cars, looking for change, looking for guns, looking for things that other people can sell at the pawn shops.
What have you seen? Have you seen anything as far as incidents? Are we seeing increase or decrease of crimes involving firearms, or like the shooting of a fire, or the discharge of a firearm? I would say
The last month, 2 months, I think the amount of firearms being fired in the city has risen some.
really.
There seems to be a couple little things going on in some areas of the city with some groups mad at each other, but it goes up and down.
Okay.
I will tell you, when you look at our 6-month numbers from January till June, and we put it on the Statesville Police Department's page under the City of Statesville's page, all of our categories are down except for aggravated assaults and our homicides. But all of our other categories were down in crime. We're actually down in accidents, but we're up in fatalities. So it's kind of a weird, when you look at these numbers and how they're impacting our community, we've had more fatalities and then we've had homicides.
Wow.
And then this year, and thanks to Captain Huffman and her team, we've been able to solve our homicides.
Good. So your rate to solve the homicide is up.
Yes, we're solving. We've got all of them for the most part wrapped up. So the nice part about it is we got more people coming forward and giving information. Just that we have these spikes in crime, and I kind of prepared for when COVID hit, and along with the protests, that we were going to see an increase in aggravated assaults. We're going to see an increase because people were being home to one another. All of a sudden, you're 24 hours in the house with somebody you spend about 4 hours a day with.
Well,
And those perspectives change.
even the best marriage can be challenged during the time of COVID because couples are spending more time together than they've ever. I mean, sometimes a little bit of distance is good for a lot of reasons, but I'm sure that's been up.
The aggravated assaults kind of drove our violent crime up for the first 6 months. We're looking at a 7% increase in violent crime, but yet a 21% decrease in property crime. So we're hoping as we get to the end of this year, that begins to trend back down, because last year we were down 7% in violent crime and 9% in property crime.
Right. You know, and Chief, I said off the air, I'm going to have you back. I've got a show planned, and I know it's going to rock. I had Robert Bell on last Tuesday. He's written 5 books on police relations, and he made his book Hands Up, Don't Shoot is one of his latest books, but he made the point that it's extremely obvious, but I didn't think about it till I realized it. When one of your officer shows up, in the back of somebody's mind, here is somebody that can take away their freedom in an instant, yes. Rightly or wrongly. And the way you train your officers will impact the way they see you coming to help them.
Taking someone's freedom is a power that goes beyond the governor.
Yeah.
You can snatch someone's freedom up and take it away. I mean, it's not like seizing your car. We now have control of you, the person, habeas corpus, the body, presenting the body. So when you look at something like that, the gravity associated with that, when you give it to someone who's 21 years old, they need to understand. We just don't take it because we can. We take it because we have to.
That's right. And the way you're trained, the way you train at the top of your department, you're instructing your officers how to respond to that situation. The other thing he pointed out, and you'll get this, is how you train once somebody begins to resist commands, or they don't follow the commands your officers are saying, it's resisting arrest. So that will impact what the next few seconds and minutes happen. So what are you doing to help?
It's several type of resisting where you're looking at. You can look at passive resisting, where you're just giving me instructions, I'm not following them, to actually I'm just actively resisting. So you're grabbing me and I'm not fighting against you. I'm just not complying. I got my hands right beside you. And then you got the active resistance where someone's actually fighting back with a law enforcement officer. So there's different levels of resisting. And when you look at that, the active resisting where someone's actually engaged in a fight with law enforcement, that is the most dangerous one for us, because this person doesn't care. But the passive resistance, where someone is just not following instructions and compliance, usually doesn't end up with a resist, delay, and obstruct charge, because, okay, you're going to comply. It's just that right now you're not actively resisting. So when you look at the active resistance, where somebody's actually fighting law enforcement, yes, we're probably going to, about 99% of the time, you're going to get charged for resist, delay, and obstruct.
Right. Now, Captain, you talked about the property crime was kind of at the head of your stats right now, but how much of an impact has drug? I mean, even the property crime is related probably to some of it is related to drug abuse, so forth. What would you say about what does your stats tell you about drug-related crime?
It's hard to actually put a number on that until the person's arrested and try to figure out, is this person a drug user, and that's why they're breaking into things, is to support their habit. A lot of times in our drug areas we do see that, but as far as compiling those numbers, we've not compiled the drug use versus the breaking into the vehicles as far as the suspects.
Right. So when you compile these numbers and present these to the chief, I mean, I'm sure you present what you're finding, and they're publicly available, I would think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what? How does that change your strategy? How does that change your planning moving forward? Like, what do you see? Like numbers trending over course of the last year or so. So is that changing your planning, Chief or Captain?
Yes, in several ways. For example, we're finally at 100% staffing. We haven't filled our assistant chief of police slot, and we're in the process of doing that. But we finally got traffic, and you and I kind of talked about this a couple months ago. They're operating as a team, and they're not assigned on patrol teams. And we just stood up our crime reduction team, which are 4 officers that we're going to be able to deploy anywhere in the city that we need them. So when we look at those trends with the captains, and we talked about this earlier about having the city divided up in geographical boundaries and a captain attached to each one of those boundaries. So when a captain sees that there's a particular crime or a trending of crime going on in his or her respective areas, they can use these resources to help combat those crimes. So we're looking at information now. We're looking at technology. We're employing every bit of intelligence we can in directing ourselves in solving crime.
How do we get one of those? What street is that goes between Davie and Broad Street. You've got a couple of those little speeding. I mean, can we ask for one of those to Fulton Drive?
Actually, you can get up with your captain, especially if you're having a speeding problem, because now with traffic off, we've actually been able to take care of some of those other problems that we've been dealing with that we didn't have the personnel or the manpower to deal with.
Because it looks like it's run off of solar power.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't work at night then. I don't think.
I think it does, yes.
yes.
It stores battery,
okay.
yes.
Okay, I can't remember that street. It's not Boss.
Well, it could be green or.
It's green. I think it's green or one of those. Yeah, it goes.
And some of those we use to actually do traffic studies. So when we get complaints of someone speeding or speeding in a particular area, we'll do a traffic study. We'll send that out there, and we'll actually be keeping track of times during the peak hours to find out, okay, what is the average speed that people are going down this respective street? Because not all of it may be resulting in, okay, we need to start issuing citations. Maybe the speed for that street is too low. Maybe it's too high. Maybe it needs to be changed. So we're looking at that, not just the enforcement piece. Of course, if we find out that people are going way above the speed limit, yes, enforcement will take.
Okay. And Nancy, now, has he gotten all the things on the budget that he wanted on the budget? Did he?
The night may be a long one.
The two things
He's
that we're
got quite
looking
a
at.
list.
So your wish list, Chief.
My wish list right now went all the capital items, and I have to give credit to Ron Smith because he understands what we're trying to do here and where the direction we're moving the ship in. But one of the things that we promised and was part of our recruiting tool was the 3% annual raises that we were giving to officers. We promised them that we would give them this, and that was helped us be able to fill up our staffing and backfill all of our vacant positions. So that moving forward is important because we want to make sure that we're competitive with all the other agencies in Iredell County and in the surrounding counties, because that's a challenge because we're all pulling from the same pool. And I also want to make sure that, we think sometimes, when we look at us as sworn officers and as the fire department, all uniform personnel, we have to also consider those who are not wearing uniform. So making sure that our civilians get a raise as well, because there are the unsung heroes that sit behind the scenes that often get passed over because they don't go into fires or because they don't deal with violent crime. But we want to make sure that their quality of life matters as well. So we're looking out for them too.
Now that's an interesting point. Tell everybody. A sworn officer, there are sworn officers, and they are empowered to do things like arrest and do those things. But your civilian employees obviously don't have that. So that's the dividing line.
You're talking about our 911 operators, our 911 operators, our records personnel. You're talking about people in our evidence room. You're talking about our admin assistants all across the building, the office manager. You're talking about a bunch of people who usually are silent partners with us, but without them, we are not able to do what we do effectively.
Right. So somebody that has the right to get in a cruiser to get out on the street has to be sworn.
Yes.
Sworn in. And
yes.
It's an official ceremony that you have.
Yes.
And so you're competing obviously with other departments around the area. For personnel, yes. and that gets pretty competitive.
We have actually gone to Winston-Salem to recruit. So part of our goal is we're going to recruit even when we're full. We're not going to wait till we have a vacancy to start recruiting. So we're recruiting even when we're full to make sure that we have somebody that's plug and play when we need them.
So what is, if you use the word a full deck, what is full capacity for you? Back it up that way. Based on the population, what should we have as far as the number of officers?
Right now we have 84 officers and 22 civilians assigned to the Statesville Police Department. We need an additional 8 officers on patrol. Our patrol staffing has been the same since the late 80s, early 90s. But our population has grown, so therefore we are not adapting to the population.
So is there a ratio? Is there a common?
Some people like to use ratios, and some people like to use it. For me, it depends on the dynamics in your community. You can't use this blanket formula to say, okay, for every 1,000 people, we need 1 officer. That's not necessarily true. We've got 2 main thoroughfares that pass through Statesville, I-77, which runs north and south of the country, and I-40, which run directly across. So we've got the 2 main arteries, which is going to bring us commerce, which is going to bring us drugs, which is going to bring crime.
Right.
So a lot of these other cities that you're comparing us to don't have these main arteries passing through them, and it's not an apples-to-apples comparison.
And Captain, you mentioned kind of briefly about you identified there's some groups battling with one or whatever in certain areas. You know, one of the other things we talked about last Tuesday was hot spot policing. In other words, you guys have a pretty good knowledge of where the hot spots are, and that's how you plan your day. That's how you plan your strategy, I guess.
Yes. Every week we have a captain's meeting where we talk about the crime that occurred the previous week. The captains are often slated with, okay, what have you done to move this problem along? How are we resolving that problem? And we're making sure we're giving them all the resources they need to be able to solve those problems. If we need to get more people involved, if we need to conduct an operation which involves overtime and more personnel, then we're going to do whatever we deem necessary to make sure we get that problem resolved.
And Captain, I don't know if you know off the top of your head for your stats, the percentage of folks that are arrested who are residents versus transients. That we probably wouldn't know offhand.
No.
But it brings up the point, what you talked about, that we're at a crossroads, and are people coming in committing a crime that are not here, or are they residents here?
And some of the ones that we're looking at, when you're looking at the UTVs and ATVs, those people were coming in from out of town.
What does that mean?
The ATVs that were riding in the streets. Those people were coming from out of town. They weren't residents of the city of Statesville or Iredell County for that matter.
Okay.
So they were coming in. So now we've got, like I said, a team of individuals that we're still not going to chase them because I don't want anyone to get injured in that regard, but we are going to stop and tow.
Yes, stop and tow. Yeah, that's right, because that represents. I noticed somebody riding a golf cart down the road the other day. Is that legal?
It must have a tag on it. State of North Carolina's got to get some commerce out of that. I think it's required. If you're going to have a motorized vehicle in the street, it must have a tag because they just switched over the mopeds to requiring them to have tags.
So if you have your golf cart, you got to have a tag on. I don't know. Can you get a tag?
I don't know if you can get a tag for a golf cart.
I just saw somebody riding. I said, "Is that legal?" I don't know.
It shouldn't be in a travel lane. Definitely
that's
not
right.
in a travel
That's
lane.
right. That's right. Okay, we're wrapping up here. And Nancy, any other big things going on tonight with the?
Well, they will be talking about the possibility of replacing Fire Station 1.
Oh, we're back in the game there.
Right. So listen in on that. That'll be another thing on the agenda. And if you just go to statesvillenc.net, you can find out all the statistics that the police chief here is talking about. It's Public Power Week. It's Fire Prevention Week. Leaf pickup is going to begin soon. We've got tidbits on having a safe Halloween. So everything that you really want to know about the city, it's right
And
there.
I know I didn't respond to you on the ghost tour. Are those off? Or?
The ghost tours will be held the 16th and 17th.
Okay.
And the 23rd and 24th. Those two Friday, Saturday nights, we will be having ghost tours. Speaking of the 17th, community meeting.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We're having a community meeting. It'll be in the parking lot of Christian Outreach, located off of Eichert Street. So we're encouraging people to come out. We'll still be outside, so this is the perfect weather. I've got an extra layer from last winter, so I'll be warm. But it's going to be outside. We're going to have social distancing, but our goal is to make sure that we're accessible to the community. So if you have a question, we encourage you to come.
Okay, very good.
They're really picking up steam now. Folks have got things on their mind. It's a great way to have one-on-one with the chief, and he always brings friends.
He brings friends, the chief of the friends.
We bounce it around the city, so whatever captain in that geographical boundary will be at the meeting with us to answer any questions and actually present crime stats for that community. So if you're there and we're inside of beat 1 or beat 2, that captain will be there to present crime stats and tell you what's going on in your community as we talk about more of a global picture about what's going on in the city.
So, Captain, you'll be there with all your stats then.
No, sir, that's actually the beat captain.
Oh, the beat captain.
All
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
He
we're
was
winding
signing
down
you up.
1 minute, and I know I see my wife is watching, and we want to send out a special
Yes.
hello to Gina. We
Hey,
love
Gina.
you,
Good
and
morning.
good morning.
We're praying
with the
for you.
Yes, thank you very much. Hope you feel better very soon. So, tune in tonight to the
statesvillenc.net/live.
/live. Captain's
Best chair in the house.
the best chair in the house, front row seating, and it's socially distanced properly, virtually. Captain, thank you for coming.
Thank you. And
we'll come back with some more stats. We'll do a review again. And Chief, I'm going to do a special show with you. I got some more things. We're going to rock it again. So we always say thank you for all your service for Statesville.
We're honored to be here.
Yeah, honored to be here. This has been Our Town here of the city of Statesville on News Talk WSIC, and hope everybody has a great day. Tomorrow, big show. We're going to talk about the Electoral College tomorrow at 8:30. A debate on that and Energy United.
5.9 FM.